It's the John Phillips Show. Johnny's on vacation. It's Randy Wang here. The phone number to join us is 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. You can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and search for the John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. Really appreciate all the calls. We had last segment talking about Gavin Newsom's new bill that he signed. AB 30 would allow ethanol E15 to be sold at gas stations. And I'll be honest, I did not know that ethanol was alcohol in the gasoline. And as soon as I heard about alcohol and gasoline, the way that my brain works is it remembers things from The Simpsons in 1992.
Alcohol-fueled car. One for you, one for me. One for you, one for me.
Let me do one more email on this, and then we'll move on to something else when it comes to affordability. Jimbo writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Randy, what we need is to lower diesel prices. Diesel is easier and cheaper to make than gas and is still the highest priced fuel in California stations. Lowering the price of diesel would bring down the cost of everything that's delivered by truck. Also, my fuel cost would go down because I drive a Silverado 3500 Duramax. How about we have Elon put Newsom in a shipping container and launch him into the sun? Well, there's a suggestion for you. Now, while the state of California, in their big year of affordability, usually finds different ways to raise prices on things, there is one aspect of the economy where the state of California looked at affordability, realized something was untenable, and said, we got to do something about this. And that is another law that Gavin Newsom signed last week that lowers the taxes, something you never hear in California, lowering taxes. Lowering taxes on what? On legal cannabis, pot, weed, sticky icky, whatever you want to call it. My references are dated because I haven't touched the stuff in 8 years. But the sales tax for cannabis in California went from 15% to 19%, and Gavin Newsom just signed a law to put it back to 15% because the legal pot stores were going to go out of business. For more, here's a report from CBS 8 in San Diego.
Meanwhile, another California supply is getting a bit cheaper. The state is now rolling back its cannabis tax after it jumped from 15% to 19% back in July.
CBS 8's Alex Lai shows us what the change means for businesses and customers.
Well, I would imagine it means cheaper weed. Story over? Now let's play the whole thing.
This legislation is good news for dispensaries, customers, and the cannabis industry. It's reducing California's cannabis tax from 19% back down to 15%.
And I remember when that increase was going up over the summer, you had city councils all over the place being flooded by people who have these permits to run these dispensaries saying, we are going out of business. We cannot afford to operate in California. It's the strangest thing because I think a lot of people assumed that when we legalized marijuana in the state of California, when we legalized recreational pot, because you've been able to do it medically going back to the 90s, even I had the pot card for insomnia. And I don't think I think it actually contributed to the insomnia for me because I would stay up till 3 a.m. smoking and playing Xbox. And then finally I'd go hit the drive-thru, order $15 worth of Jack in the Box. And then the food coma would make me fall asleep. Different story for a different day. But I think most of us assumed that if you legalize this product, this is the argument that was held down to us for many, many years. There are a couple of things. One, it's not fair to put people who are just doing weed in prison and just selling weed in prison, although then we decided to decriminalize all the harder drugs too, which is strange. But the argument that was told to us when people voted yes on Prop 64 was if you legalize this product, you eliminate the black market, which means you don't have this illegal drug market for this specific drug out there. And here we are 7 years later, 8 years later. According to some reports, the illegal market for pot is bigger now in 2025 than when it was not competing with a legal recreational market. How did we let that happen?
However, it still leaves illegal cannabis businesses at a disadvantage. On October 1st, dispensaries started making changes and customers are starting to notice.
So it's very nice to be able to say, hey, guess what? Taxes have gone down. And
sometimes you can just tell by somebody's voice that they did some coughing recently.
so it's very nice to be able to say, hey, guess what? Taxes have gone down, and so the price is going to be better.
That doesn't sound like a guy that does gummies.
Alex Zione is the CEO and partner of Sessions by the Bay, a dispensary and cannabis lounge in National City.
It's a great move because
I never understood the cannabis lounge idea. Pot is not a social drug the way that alcohol is, at least in my opinion. And I could be wrong about this. But I never thought that marijuana made me more social. I mean, I don't think you should rely on anything to be more social, but you can definitely see how having a drink or two makes you want to blab a little more. You know, cocaine makes you want to run your mouth talking about nonsense forever and talking about how significant everything is. But pot, I think a lot of people, especially introverts, they keep to themselves. They want to go watch their TV. They want to play their video games. They want to listen to their music. So, you know, the few times I was ever at a pot lounge, because they weren't that many of them when I was a smoker, they were kind of boring. And these big pot events that my friends would put on, it's like, okay, so you walk around this convention hall and then you get high, and then what? You get higher? I just found them all to be kind of dull. Side note, and I'm going to admit this now because it's one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me in my 10-year career of smoking pot. I went to a cannabis lounge with my old buddy Adam Macadocious as he was hosting his podcast. And what happens at a cannabis lounge? You have a whole bunch of people passing bongs around. Different little bubblers, different little pipes. And they're all smoking out of the same thing, which, you know, that's what happens when you're around communal smokers. But you're around a whole bunch of strangers as well. There may be 30 people at this event in North Hollywood in the back of a dispensary. The next day, I start feeling awful. I start feeling very sick. I end up having to go to urgent care where the doctor explained to me that I have mono. And I had to find a way to explain to my now wife, but then brand new girlfriend, that I got mono from a pot event. And I swear to my life's content, I did not kiss anybody else, but I touched my lips to a whole bunch of pipes. That was a very embarrassing moment. And one of the things that's like, wow, she really stuck it out. She saw something in me. Embarrassing.
it's a great move because we need the regulations, but we also need to be affordable right now, especially in this economy.
Governor Gavin Newsom signed off on the rollback, saying the goal is to help.
I wonder, you know, again, I haven't bought any of this stuff in years. You know, I remember very specifically, like halfway decent stuff you could get for $40 an eighth at the medical shops. The better stuff is like $50 an eighth. I wonder what it costs now with all these taxes, because when it was just medical, there weren't taxes on any of this stuff.
Governor Gavin Newsom signed off on the rollback, saying the goal is to help legal businesses compete with the tax-free illegal market.
And while that's appreciated, and this is the thing that, again, you thought that legalizing this product would get rid of the black market, but if the regulations and taxes make the product so expensive and there are easy ways to get it by other means, whether it be I'm not going to say growing it yourself is easy because I know people that do that, and that seems to be a hell of a lot of work for not that much reward. But you can.
It is kind of easy for people to still shop at an unregulated store or
easily go to a lot of smoke shops and other storefronts. We're not talking about street dealers. Like, that's not what most people are doing. Maybe there's some people that are still going on Craigslist and seeing if anybody has 420 roses and all the other code. Was Craigslist ever used for anything legitimate? Or was it all anonymous hookups, buying drugs, and getting rid of junk? It's a great website. But you have so many storefronts that are openly, blatantly operating illegally, selling unregulated product. And we don't seem to crack down on that. That would seem to be the thing. Okay, we've legalized it, so now everyone that's not playing by the rules, you should be throwing the hammer at them. Not only that, you have so many, especially in Los Angeles County, in the Antelope Valley, and Alex Villanueva, when he was sheriff, was trying to crack down on this, but you have so many illegal grow operations that consume so much water that they don't have permits for. Like, how are we not cracking down on that? Wouldn't just the fact that we have a legal market give us, in the law enforcement world, the ability to go to town on people that are doing this without a permit, without a license? But we're not. Although in Fresno, they found out a way around this. Just start banning smoke shops, because you do not need as many smoke shops as we have. There are things that are sold at smoke shops that we're not sure how they're legal to begin with, but nothing good comes. There's not a lot of people that go to smoke shops to buy tobacco to put in a hookah. That's not what's going on.
it is kind of easy for people to still shop at an unregulated store or, environment because it's more affordable. But it's just not great. We need those regulations. We need it to be affordable.
You want to make sure that your pot is organic and tested. I would honestly say you do. I mean, you don't want your stuff spiked with who knows what. I don't think there's that many people spiking it with fentanyl, but it could be spiked.
It's more
or it's just dirt weed.
It's more affordable, but it's just not great. We need those regulations. We need it to be affordable.
The drop from 19% to 15% saves customers about $1.50 on a $35 purchase. But customers also pay local taxes, 10% in San Diego and 5% in National City.
So depending on where you are, not only do you have the 15% tax it was at 19, it's going back down to 15, but then you have the local taxes on top of that. And with all the other regulations and the difficulty of having one of these businesses because it's still federally illegal, so that means that you cannot participate in banking, which means it's an all-cash business, which means you're going to need to hire extra security. I mean, there shouldn't be an argument of, well, the illegal market has it so much easier. We should be cracking down on that.
10% in San Diego and 5% in National City. California's cannabis taxes add up to hundreds of millions of dollars each year.
And where does that money go?
California's cannabis taxes add up to hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The state uses that money for programs like youth education, substance abuse treatment, and law enforcement.
Okay, we can get rid of the first two. I would love to see all that money going towards law enforcement. But yes, I would love to see a real breakdown of all the money that the cannabis taxes are going towards. Because if they're doing things that are not effective, like...
The state uses that money for programs like youth education, substance abuse treatment, and law enforcement.
The first two could probably go. Maybe we could lower that rate even more. But again, it shouldn't matter what the tax rate is. I totally understand the idea of a sin tax. But then why aren't we cracking down on the illegal market?
In San Diego County, local tax revenue has helped fund homeless services and...
Oh, boy. More taxes for more grift.
fund homeless services.
We're going to charge you more money to buy pot legally so we can give meth pipes to people that want to use that for free.
Fund homeless services and community programs. The money also helps with regulations, which comes out of the pockets of customers.
The regulations that make sure cannabis is safe for people to consume, that the dosing is standardized.
Unlike the regulated market, illegal cannabis isn't tested and costs less since it's not taxed. That makes it a powerful competitor.
Ideally, the point of legalizing cannabis is to bring that illegal market into the light and to integrate it into the formal economy and to make sure that it is tested for pesticides, that it is tested for all sorts of other things like mold.
And this is all great, but we're 7 years into this. When is that going to happen? When do we actually wipe out the black market for this product?
Even with lower taxes, she says the price gap remains.
And the fact is it's still 20, 30 tax points higher than what you could get elsewhere.
Both Jackie and Alex see the rollback as a step in the right direction for customers.
It shows that the state of California has been listening to its constituents, especially the cannabis business lobby.
The reduced 15% sales tax is in place until June 30th, 2028.
Wait, they only get it for 3 years? Yeah, that's going to be tough. Let's go to Robert in Santa Rosa. Robert, hello.
Greetings and salutations.
Howdy.
I was a Guardia de Puerta, the gate guard at a cartel grow in Chico at Helltown. What happened was the sheriffs came in, moved everybody out. The cartel took over the lease, and they just destroyed the water. There was like a waterfall, and it's back in the 70s where there's all this mercury and
Oh, you can't say that on the air, Robert.
Oh my gosh. Am I off?
You're still here, but you've got one strike.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I just watched them destroy this agriculture. This was still when camp was happening. When the helicopters would come by, everybody that knew would duck down, put their hats over their heads, but there were always two runners. Always two. I don't know why. I'm just saying what you're talking about, the pot. You're absolutely right. It's ridiculous. Our ecology is being destroyed by people looking for a buck. I go to the righteous clubs, and I love Blueberry. Goodbye.
Have a good one, Robert. He's having a good time. So good, he cursed on the air. It's okay. That's what we have a dump button for. It's Randy Wang here. Let's go to Max in Tijuana. Max, hello.
Hi, Randy. Two things, please. In the late 60s, judges were sending kids to jail for a joint for 5 years. So that's why we wanted to decriminalize. I still smoke today, and I thought legalizing would have gotten rid of all of the scumbag, arrogant pot dealers on the street, but now it's exploded. I'm for shutting down the whole thing, and I'll be glad to give up pot. You know, I have insomnia and all that. There are other alternatives. However, the other thing I wanted to mention, because you had mono from you're sharing the bong. This is why I never share. Bobbing for apples is bobbing for saliva, and that's why I never smoked or shared with strangers. Thanks for my time, and you're doing a great job there.
Thanks so much for the call, Max. Appreciate it. How about that? A smoker that says, I'd prefer it was illegal again. Very interesting. Let's go to Dennis in Simi Valley. Dennis, hello.
You were talking about alcohol. They put the fuels at a higher concentrate.
Oh, yeah, the E15 that Gavin legalized.
Well, yeah, it's going to cost more for a couple of reasons. Why? Number one, you're going to lose fuel mileage, and it's mechanical. I mean, you can figure it out. BTUs for gasoline is 19,500 BTUs per pound. Alcohol is 10,500. And your mixture ratio on alcohol is on max power is like 6.5 or 7.5 to 1. On gasoline, max power is 12 to 1, and maximum fuel mileage is like 14.5 to 1. Alcohol is like 9.5 to 1. So you're going to lose fuel mileage. The other thing, alcohol attacks all the rubber fittings in your fuel system. Eventually, they're going to start leaking, and hopefully they don't leak in your garage or while you're driving down the road and you have a car fire. So, little things they don't tell you. The cars that have been built probably from 2020 on up have stuff to compensate for that, but anything between like 2000 to 2020 doesn't, and anything really older than that is even worse.
I'm glad you're letting everybody know, Dennis. I appreciate the call. We're out of time. But, yeah, be warned, if you're going to try this new cheap gasoline, make sure your car is compatible with it. Otherwise, it's going to lead to all those kind of issues. And even if it is compatible, apparently the efficiency sucks. The phone number to join us is 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. You can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. Let's go to Jaylene in West Hills. Jaylene, hello.
Hi, Mandy. Love your show, your 5 o'clock show, and I love the whole John Phillips show. You guys are great. Okay, I'll be real quick. Our nefarious governor, I believe he is lowered the taxes for, unless I heard you wrong, lowering the tax for purchasing pot. Of course he's doing this as another one of his nefarious tricks to get those people, if they're out of the clouds, to vote yes on 50. It's another political move that I believe he's doing. What do you think about that suggestion?
It's an interesting theory that, yes, let's say the idea is we're going to lower the taxes on pot so more people are high, so then they'll agree with me on my stance on Prop 50. I think the problem with that for Gavin Newsom is, if that's what he's planning, is what about all the people that got so high they forget to vote?
You mean like maybe Robert a couple of calls back? Randy, I love your humor. Hey, thanks. I'll let you go.
Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Oh, my goodness. Prop 50 is here. The election technically starts today. I got my ballot in the mailbox over the weekend, which means now I have to explain to my friends and family what Prop 50 is, because it can be a little confusing. The actual ballot language for Prop 50, which, again, you can vote on right now, you can turn it into a ballot box. I just saw a tweet from LA Metro that, hey, we have ballot boxes on the Metro. So, take your ballot on Metro, get mugged, and if they didn't take your ballot, you could put it in a drop box. Here's the official ballot language for Prop 50. Prop 50 authorizes temporary changes to congressional district maps in response to Texas's partisan redistricting legislative constitutional amendment. How many people outside of, the people that listen to our radio stations, KABC in Southern California, KSFO in the Bay, KMJ in the Central Valley, they're tuned in and they know what's going on, but we know that's not the average California voter. And I know Gavin's done a yeoman's effort to make sure that the national media is paying attention to this, but you ever thought to yourself, even if you add up all the cable news channels, that's not that many people that watch these things? There is a good portion of the electorate in Los Angeles that could not tell you who's mayor. There is a massive portion, when we're talking about Congress, that could not tell you who their congressperson is. I think mine is Jimmy Gomez, but I'm not sure. Before redistricting in 2020, I think it was Brad Sherman. But even I'm not totally sure. So you have a very, very niche issue that, again, can be very confusing for certain people. And general wisdom would tell you that if people are confused about what a ballot measure does, they probably aren't going to vote for it, if they're going to vote at all. And we'll start seeing over the next couple of days just how exactly the turnout is going to be for this, because when we have these mail-in ballots, you'll start getting the guys at PDI, Paul Mitchell, who are also the guys they hired to draw the maps, but they do all the tracking to see when the ballots get returned. We'll see, comparing this to the 2024 election or the 2022 election or even Gavin's recall election in 2021, how engaged the electorate is on this. But let's look at the summary for Prop 50. You can vote on this right now if it came to your mail. It probably did. Requires temporary use of new congressional district maps through 2030. Directs Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission to resume enacting congressional district maps in 2031. So already this is confusing. Establishes policy supporting nonpartisan redistricting commissions nationwide. That part's kind of funny. Again, I'm fairly plugged in, and not only is that so full of legalese, I'm still confused. Now, they do break it down in the voter guide if you have one of those and you didn't throw it out with the rest of your junk mail. Let's see what your vote means. A yes vote on Prop 50 means the state would use new, legislatively drawn congressional district maps starting in 2026. California's new maps would be used until the Citizens Redistricting Commission draws new maps following the 2030 U.S. Census, where California is poised to lose a whole bunch of seats. See, there's the other aspect of this that I don't think is getting talked about enough, is that the Citizens Independent Redistricting, which I think everybody should be for, and I wish that we had that in every single state, and I really hope after we get through all this nonsensical fighting, we look at Kevin Kiley's bill or even the one that Padilla put forward. No state house should be able to put their thumb on the scale. But outside of all that, it's interesting that this is happening. And sure, you can say, yes, this is, of course, a response to what's going on with what Trump told Texas to do and Texas redrawing their lines mid-district. But if that's the case, then why would this be for the 2026, 2028, and 2030 elections? Why is it for 6 more years? And then you think to yourself, the last time that there was redistricting in 2021, California lost a congressional seat and other states grew. I think Texas gained like 3 seats. And there is a whole bunch of the YIMBY caucus, the Scott Wiener people, the people pushing Props SB 79 that fully believe if they don't build as much slum housing as possible near transit, there's going to be so many people moving out of California because it's so damn expensive that all the other states are going to get all these things and California will no longer be relevant in elections. It'll still be relevant. It'll just have 50 seats instead of 53. But if they don't give back the independent redistricting, well, then they can do whatever they want no matter how many people leave this state. So what does a no vote mean? A no vote on this measure means current congressional district maps drawn by the Citizen Redistricting Commission, which uses the word commission twice, would continue to be used in California until they draw new maps. Are you ready for the arguments? The pro argument for Proposition 50, this is on the official ballot guide. You could be voting on this right now. Prop 50, the Election Rigging Response Act. Which, again, that's the name that the proponents put on this, which means the legislature. Of course, the actual name is Authorizes Temporary Changes to Congressional District Maps in Response to Texas Partisan Redistricting Legislative Constitutional Amendment. So many people are going to read that and be like, what? What am I voting on? Maybe I'll get to that next week. Maybe I'll get to that the week after that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what turnout is for this. But okay, here we go. The pro argument. Prop 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, approves temporary emergency congressional district maps for 6 years to counter Donald Trump's scheme to rig next year's congressional election and reaffirms California's commitment to independent, nonpartisan redistricting after the next census. Vote yes on 50 for democracy in all 50 states. How about the no argument? Prop 50 was written by politicians for politicians, dismantling safeguards that keep elections fair, removing requirements to keep local communities together, and eliminates voter protections that ban maps designed to favor political parties. Vote no to protect fair elections and keep citizens, not politicians, in charge of redistricting. Where I think the pro-Prop 50 argument is going to have the hardest time selling their case is putting out that, and again, it's in the official language, that this is a response to what Texas is doing. And so California is coming out and saying what Texas did is wrong. And the argument that the pro-Prop 50 people are trying to make is it's wrong what Texas did, and that's why we should get to do it too. And I don't see a real moral argument on that one. I mean, when the Houston Astros got caught cheating, did the Dodgers immediately say, well, we should cheat too? That's not how this is supposed to work. So I think they're going to have a hard time getting that one over the finish line just based on the hypocrisy and the political gamesmanship of this. But ultimately, I think this issue, unless you were fully dialed in, like you listen to this show 3 hours a day, you listen to my 1 hour show, you listen to our replay hours that air at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and you listen to our 1 hour show on KMJ, you're dialed in. You know what this is about. I think the average California voter that we give way too many decisions when it comes to these statewide measures to is going to look at this. Maybe they'll Google it, but I don't know if they're going to fill that ballot out on day one. It's kind of a confusing issue. It's Randy Wang here. Johnny is back a week from today. He's earned it. He has to put up with me 3 hours a day. Let's go to Shirley in Rohnert Park. Shirley, hello.
Hi, Randy. When I got my voter guide, I went all over through it, and I noticed before it was ever mentioned on the news that on page 11, District 27 was missing. So now they're saying this cost about $250 million to print this book out. Now they're saying they're going to have to reprint it at millions of dollars more because it is an error.
You are so right about this, and thanks for reminding me. They're spending over $250 million on this election, and part of that is sending out the ballots and the election guide that most people just throw in the trash. But if you opened up that election guide, there was a misprint, and they did not put in District 27. So now the Secretary of State has to spend $2 million more to issue out corrections.
Yep.
It's just incompetence at every level. Shirley, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. You know, I got a little map in here, and I put a little dot every city that we get a call from that's like, hey, we never got a call there before. Rohnert Park in Sonoma County. That's the first time we get a call from there. Love to see that. We love all our Southern California callers, and we love all our Northern California callers. And we also love all our callers that listen live on the stream from places that they move to. We totally support. If you feel like you've had enough of California, you can go. Go enjoy Arizona. Go enjoy Nevada. Go enjoy New Mexico, Texas. Just make sure you take us with you, whether it's with the KABC app or the KSFO app. You want to make sure you have us so we can check on everything for you while you're gone. But we might one day report that things are all better and you might want to come back. Or if you just need to constantly reinforce your decision, you listen to us for 3 hours a day, and you will never have any doubt that even with the humidity, you are better off in Texas. Actually, that one, I don't know. I'd prefer New Mexico, although it's really dry there. Now, as we talk about affordability in California, there is a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. There's a lot of uncertainty in the economy. And when there's a lot of uncertainty, what you see is the price of gold is spiking. In fact, gold is at an all-time high right now. And no, this is not some lead up to a gold commercial. I don't have one. What is going on is that you're seeing an increase in jewelry store thefts because gold is spiking. But you expected that. What I did not expect is for the price of gold to get to the point where people get as old school as possible and try to go into California's original profession. People are getting back into gold mining. For more on what's going on in Tuolumne County, here's KCRA 3 with this generation of panners.
The price of gold is at an all-time high, and that means places here in California are seeing an increase in people selling and looking for gold.
KCRA 3's Ryan Curry went to an old gold mining town where experts say it feels like a new-aged gold rush.
I'd love to meet the people in 2025 that are pulling up stakes and moving to rural California with a pickaxe like it's 1849 all over again.
In the foothills of Tuolumne County, the town of Columbia transports you back to the year 1849. It's designed to welcome tourists wanting to learn about the gold rush. But in some ways, the gold rush...
See, I didn't need to do that. You used to be able to do that at Knott's Berry Farm. They don't have that anymore, do they? Or they give you the fake gold? Do they still have the slanty house?
It's designed to welcome tourists wanting to learn about the gold rush. But in some ways, the gold rush never ended.
Gold mining is still happening in California.
Yes. Still happening. People bring in their stuff all the time to us. I had a couple of gentlemen that brought in, these were boulders in their pockets.
Michaela DiLorenzi owns the Matlock Gulch Mining Company.
How much do you get for a softball-sized rock of gold in 2025?
Michaela DiLorenzi owns the Matlock Gulch Mining Company. For decades, her family has studied all things gold.
We have the opportunity to come and see people's other findings throughout the county and surrounding areas, so that's a lot of fun. People also bring their gold to us to see if it is gold, so we get the opportunity to...
Did I get scammed? Yes. Yes, you did.
Gold, so we get the opportunity to tell them if they struck it rich or if they didn't.
That is something...
It was my anniversary. Can you tell me if this is a knockoff?
That is something she says has been happening a lot more recently. The price of gold is at an all-time high, skyrocketing in the last 5 years. She says investing in gold is common during times of economic uncertainty. But the price is so high, not only does she evaluate gold, she also sells equipment for people to go out and pan for gold.
You know, you can bring to me all the jewelry that you want. You can raid Grandma's closet, or you can take this pickaxe. We'll call you a prospector. And you can start jumping claims like the old days.
We see a lot of people trying to move their investments along. And then we're also seeing a lot of people that are out there panning because it's now in their ears.
The water troughs outside her store are there to teach people what it's like to pan for gold. So I put on my flannel shirt and had my instructor teach me the ways of our prospecting ancestors.
So they got the ripples right here.
How did I do?
I'll hold up to my camera. I don't know if you can see much of it, but it's not much. But if the price of gold keeps going up, maybe this will be worth something one day, right?
He got about as much gold as they put in a bottle of Goldschlager, which I don't think is real gold.
While it's a fun project to learn, Michaela says the local rivers are flooded with people trying to lay claims on the land to pan for gold.
I mean, hey, that's ingenuity. That's the pioneer spirit that started this state. It's just interesting to see it happening now and not in 1848.
A modern-day gold rush she doesn't anticipate slowing down anytime soon.
Gold isn't stopping. I think it's going to keep climbing.
Which means the state phrase Eureka will continue to live on.
I didn't know that. I learned something today.
Ryan Curry, KCRA 3 News.
California heavily regulates the gold mining business to protect indigenous lands and the environment, but they say there are recreational areas in mountain rivers allowing people to pan and search for gold.
Pretty cool.
So there you go. People are panhandling again for gold. That's fun. Thank you all so much for being a part of this show. All the calls that we got from Southern California on KABC, all the calls that we got in Northern California on KSFO. I'm about to hit the freeway, sit there for an hour. Eventually, I'll be back at home in the San Fernando Valley and get ready for my local show on KABC, The News Blitz with Randy Wang. It airs from 5 to 6 every single day. So if you're in the Bay and you want to hear that, go to KABC.com or get the KABC app. We'll see you tomorrow from noon to 3 for yet another edition of The John Phillips Show with me, Randy Wang.